Would you like to live a healthier and more active lifestyle? The Cupertino Senior Center offers a wide variety of sports activities suited to meet the needs of our 50 and better community. We are highlighting 6 of those sports today for you. This is Deborah Leffler. Welcome to The Better Part, a program that encompasses a diverse spectrum of topics important to our community to inform, educate, and entertain you. Our program today is called 50 Plus Sports. Our in-studio host is Justin Cecil, Recreation Coordinator for the Cupertino Senior Center. Let's join him and his guests in the studio now.
Hello, I'm Justin Cecil, a certified Parks and Recreation professional at the Cupertino Senior Center. The Senior Center is a focal point for those who are 50 plus in the Cupertino community. We host a variety of activities, classes, socials, services, trips, and volunteer opportunities. Today, I'm going to talk to you about some popular sports activities we host that are going to help you engage, make new connections, and maintain a happy and healthy lifestyle. My first guest today is an active volunteer and avid bocce player. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Justin.
What is bocce?
What is bocce? Bocce is a ball sport, an ancient ball sport. It's played on a long ice court that sort of resembles a bowling alley with sides. And we play it outdoors from the Senior Center, and the court is covered in crushed oyster shells. Now, there are other kinds of bocce courts around the area, around the world, and they have a variety of surfaces, but the one that we play on is the oyster shells. The way the game is played is you have a small ball called a polino that you roll out onto the court, and then you have a larger ball that you roll out to try and get as close as you can to the polino, and it's okay to touch the polino. Then your opponent rolls a ball and tries to get their ball closer to the polino than yours. Whoever ends up with the closest to the polino wins the point. Now, there's a lot more to it than that. That's just a kind of a cursory examination of it. But it's a really fun game, and anybody can play it.
Anybody can play it. So who specifically can play?
Okay. It's particularly suited to seniors and people with some slight physical disabilities because it's very easy to play, and it's something that you can play immediately upon encountering it. And it requires a little bit of walking, a little bit of bending, a little bit of being able to just roll a ball.
Why did you choose to play bocce?
I've been playing sports all my life, and basically mostly softball and tennis were my main sports, although I have many others. But, you know, as happens to all of us, my body says no more softball and tennis. So I was looking around for something else, and bocce seemed to be a perfect fit for that. Bocce is a fairly gentle sport, but it's got some interesting strategy to it, which keeps my brain very happy. And it's the kind of thing that we play in teams, but you don't have to join a league or have a set team in order to play it. So every week, whoever shows up, it's a pickup game, so anybody can show up. Whoever shows up, we form teams, and then after one game, we'll reform the teams with other people, and you get to interact with a lot of people that way, and it's a really fun thing to do.
How did you learn about bocce?
Oh, this is interesting because my very first experience with bocce happened when I was in Massachusetts at my brother-in-law's house. One day we were all sitting around, and he said, let's do this game, and he pulled out some balls, and we were using a side of a hill, and it was just wild and fun, and I didn't know that was bocce at that time. And so that was my first incursion to it. And then I joined the Senior Center mostly to play softball, and when I couldn't play softball anymore, as I mentioned, I decided that I wanted to play bocce. Well, at the Senior Center, there's like a huge, well, as you know, a huge number of activities and sports that you can do. I mean, there's something for everybody, but there was no bocce. So this other softball player, Paul, and myself approached you and said, we'd like to have a bocce league. And you put together all the resources, and we started up the bocce league, and Paul and I volunteered to be the managers of it for you. And that's how we got started. playing
Okay.
bocce. You know.
And if I'm just hearing about bocce now on this show, what might someone do?
You'll hear about it from the show, or you'll hear about it from the Senior Center. If you're a Senior Center member, you've got some information about it. You can just show up. It is a pickup game. Anybody can come any day. We play on Wednesdays, any Wednesday. And what happens is a lot of times people are just like walking by. This is in Blackberry Farms, Blackberry Park, and there's a big trail. People walk their dogs and stuff, and we'll just say, come on, and they'll look and say, what are you doing? We'll say, come on and join us. And we had like one time, these young men from Brigham Young University were walking through the park. They happened to be in town, and they saw us and wanted to know what it was, and so we taught them how to play, and they played with us around it. And of course, they were teenagers, so they thought, if you throw the ball as hard as you possibly can, that's the object. And they realized very soon that that was not going to get them any points. So they figured out how to use a little more finesse, and it worked really, really well for them. So and we've had people just walk up, from all walks of life and all sorts of injuries and all sorts of various phases of health. And we'll just hand them a ball, and a lot of times people are a little hesitant, going, "Oh, I can't do this," and we say, "No, you can. Take this ball and try and get as close to that yellow ball as you can," and they're playing instantly, and it's great because you don't have to be good right away. We've all gotten a little better as we've played over the last couple of years, and we're starting to work on some strategies and things that are a lot of fun. But everybody is welcome, and the group just seems to be so friendly, and that's one of the reasons that I keep coming, is because the camaraderie we have among the group, and I've met so many interesting people, and we've just grown a real fondness for each other, and really enjoy spending that time together.
And you mentioned it's at Blackberry Farm Park. It's kind of a hidden gem in Cupertino. Could you briefly describe about the area? And
there's a wide hiking trail. You just walk down the trail, and we have a sign. This points to the 50 Plus Bocce. So it just points you. It's right next to the sand volleyball court, and it's in this. What I really like about it is it's in this beautiful park-like setting. There's got a big lawn, there's trees, there's birds chirping, and it's just really nice and very, very comforting to be there. And you'll see us playing, and just walk up and join us.
Great. Well, thank you, Pat, for telling us about bocce and being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to do it.
Our next guest is Jim Wu, who will be telling us a little bit about ping pong. Thanks for being here, Jim.
Thank you, Justin. Pleasure to be here.
For starters, Jim, would you briefly and simply describe ping pong?
Well, ping pong is probably known to just about anyone who's played any kind of a game. Take a paddle, a little plastic ball, set up a table, the net, doesn't matter what the size of the table is, and you can get a lot of exercise hitting the thing back and forth across the net. It's one of the most popular sports in the world. We don't get much publicity, but it is estimated by some experts that it ranks in the top 2 or 3 in terms of number of players around the world. So everyone, I think, is familiar with ping pong.
Okay, and I think some of our viewers might want to know the difference between ping pong and table tennis.
Ping pong, as originally started, was probably born in the 1890s, 1900, and probably in England. As people got used to the game, started getting a little more exercise, and found out how much fun it could be, and starting setting some rules and size of the equipment. More professional level players came into being, and in the 20s and 30s and 40s, now we started seeing some high-level people playing. They did not change the popularity for the average person. And so in Europe, mainly spurred on by the interest in England, they thought it was time to form some international association of table tennis leagues. They wanted to call it the Ping Pong League. But unfortunately, Parker Brothers, the company that makes all the games, I think they also make Monopoly, had taken out a copyright on the term ping pong. So they could not use that term, and so that what led to the International Table Tennis Association. And one thing led to another, and it's reached the point now where it's played all around the world, and as an indication of its popularity, in 1988, I believe, it was added to the list of Olympic sports.
There must be a very skill level. Is there any modifications made for the 50-plus community?
Now we have a unique program in the Cupertino Senior Center. Since the space is limited, we only have 2 tables, and time is somewhat limited, we have 2 half-days available. We try to make it available for everyone who wants to participate. So it's a first-come, first-served situation. People arrive to play, and it's pretty much you pair up, and we only play doubles because of the time and the space problem. So you pair up with whomever comes in and is waiting for a partner, which means that it's pretty much a random draw who you play with. There are a few couples who play together, like my wife and I always play together, but this allows you not only to develop your skills playing different people, but also you get used to different styles from the different partners that you will play with. And so by rotating that way, oh, and the rule is you play 2 games as a team, win or lose. In 2 games, 1 game with one team, rotated to a second game with another team, and by alternating the sequence of the teams, everybody gets to play 2 games, and when new people come in, they fit them into the rotation.
So you obviously love playing ping pong and had volunteered to be here in the studio today. Could you tell us about how you got started? And I hear there's an interesting story about how that came about.
Well, like most kids who grew up in the Depression, we were always looking for some games or sports to play that didn't cost any money. Now, my parents happened to, I grew up in Monterey, my parents happened to have a hotel and a restaurant. And things were sort of tough then in the 30s, and we did not always need all the facilities of the restaurant. We had a big banquet room in the back, and when that was not used anymore, I put together 3 or 4 banquet tables, found a few cigar boxes, put them across the middle of the table. Somebody had given me some old paddles, like this beat up old thing, and we're off and running. And so through my school years, college time, always ping pong in the school facilities. When the Army sent me to Korea, fortunately for us, the war was over. We had a lot of time. Played softball till I banged up my hand, and after that it was almost always ping pong. When I went to work, the big company I worked for, always a ping pong table in the back corner of the shop. And so we'll always have a few guys play there during their lunch hour. Then when I retired, my wife joined the Senior Center for some classes, and then she and a few other people organized a ping pong program. And she started there playing ping pong. She knew I liked to play games, so she said, "You come on down and join the group."
If I'm new, and for our viewers watching today, how might they start?
Now, if you're playing, say, at Senior Center, where we are, you need to be able to play a little bit because there isn't time for people just to socially play. We do play games because we like to have a little competition. But if you're just beginning to learn the game, almost everyone has a friend or knows someone who has a table in the garage or the backyard. You can play that way. Many homeowners associations have a recreation room. They have a table where people can play. Some of the larger community centers and senior centers have ping pong facilities are not organized such as we do at Cupertino. And they're just there for anybody to sign up and play.
Since all these senior centers and community centers have ping pong, could you maybe mention some of the health benefits that might come about?
This is a sport that anybody can play at any age. We have some people there well past their 60s and 70s who didn't start the game until they found out it was available at the Senior Center. So you can take lessons. The Cupertino Sports Center has classes. You can get individual coaching. Or as I said, you can find other facilities where maybe you and a friend can go and reserve a table. And that way you can pick up some tips from more experienced players.
It seems to me that you seem very wise on the subject of ping pong and table tennis. So thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and being here today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
The third sport we're going to talk about today is 50-plus softball at the Cupertino Senior Center. Today in studio with me I have Judy Eckert, who regularly plays softball and has volunteered to be here with us today. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Justin.
Judy, I see you are wearing the Cupertino Geezer shirt. Can you tell us about how that came about?
Yes, we recently reordered our shirts. The Senior Center is located adjacent to Cupertino Memorial Park. Memorial Park, on the back end of it, is where we play softball. It has a beautiful softball field. And Memorial Park, for years, had a big water area where there was shallow water wading ponds. For the geese were attracted to these ponds. Therefore, often we would go out on the fields and we would have geese on our fields, or in the middle of a game, you would have geese wandering through the fields. Therefore, the double meaning of old geezers, which we all are, and the geese on the field, they ended up with the Cupertino Geezers.
All right. Well, softball and 50-plus softball, could you tell us the differences? And maybe similarities too.
Sure. The basic rules for 50-plus or for softball are the same. However, all of the rules have been amended for safety. They specialize in safety all the way. An example would be you can't slide into bases. You can overrun any base when you're running, and you run as hard as you can. You don't have to worry about stopping exactly on that base. You can overrun it as long as you don't turn toward the next base. Also, if you're playing, like if I'm the second baseman, which I generally am, when someone runs to second, you avoid a collision at all costs. You take care of yourself and you take care of the other person. You can touch your base to catch the ball. However, the runner can run next to you and not touch that base and be safe. There are various other smaller things that change. Women typically are not as strong and can't hit as hard as men. Therefore, they use a smaller ball for the women, and that will make it be competitive all the way through. A few rules like that.
So you mentioned the different size balls. Is that like a difference between softball and baseball?
In fact, I checked a little bit on the true differences between baseball and softball because I wasn't sure of all of them. And the biggest things that I found are baseball pitchers pitch off of a mound. Softball pitchers all pitch off of a level field. Softball fields are a little smaller. Therefore, there's a little less distance to run, thank heavens, to all the bases. The pitching distance is a little shorter. Softball is pitch underhand, and you can pitch underhand fast pitch, which is pretty fast because I have watched and I know what it's like. Or you can do a slow pitch, which has an arch to it, and we play like that. It gives us old geezers a little more time to think about that ball as it's coming in, and you don't have to worry about getting hit with the ball.
So you obviously love playing softball. Can you share us how you got interested and maybe how you started?
I truly enjoy softball. I have played since I was a kid. I was born in a rural area in the Midwest, and almost everybody played ball. There were 40 acres between farms, and there were houses scattered between there. Therefore, everybody, you had to collect as many kids as you could in order to make a team. So we all got to play. Boys, girls, young and old, we all played on the same team. Since then, I watched my granddaughter play recently. She played all the way through high school, and really enjoyed watching her. About 6 years ago, I think it was, I was reading through one of the little local newspapers, and here's this article on this group of older people, only older people who could play ball. So I clipped that article out.
So how did you end up becoming a Cupertino Geezer?
I was cleaning a drawer, actually, came across this article 2 years after I clipped it out. I didn't have the nerve until then to actually find out what this involved. I wasn't sure, for one thing, whether it was co-ed or not. The little photo they had, everybody had on shirts and hats, and it was difficult to tell if it was men and women or if it was just men. I also was really concerned about how good these people were. Were they out there really to play, and was I going to get in the way? Would I have a good time or not? So I thought I should check it.
You came to the Senior Center, and can you share with us what you found out?
When I came to the Senior Center, I was pleasantly surprised. First of all, the people at the center, the women there, and I ended up talking to Justin almost by accident, encouraged me to go and at least look at it, try it, whatever. They said it's a good group. Men and women can play. At the time, there was one woman who I believe was Pat on the team, and everyone was welcome.
What is one part of playing the game each week that you enjoy the most?
Oh, if I could say anything about this team, the part that I like the best is the camaraderie of everybody there. We end up with anywhere from maybe 20 to 30 people if we're lucky, because everybody comes when they can. We all get together on the field. First hour, everybody practices. We all play catch. We take a turn at bat. We rotate in the field. We do some stretching and some running and some various things like that. It is a time for everybody to get some exercise. We don't have set teams.
Have you noticed any improvements based on that exercise?
Absolutely. Physically, I can tell you that when I got there, I didn't realize that you could forget to run. When I started trying to run base, I could hardly run base. I would run bases the best of my ability. I still am not fast, but I do get through it. Between running bases, swinging the bat as hard as I could, playing catch, the next day I would be so sore I could hardly move. As time went on, this got better and better, and now I will tell you, I can't tell one day to the next whether I have played softball or not. Emotionally, I'll tell you, I typically am a multitasking person. I do two things at once all the time, all the time, all the time. However, I started to notice when I got in the softball field, for that moment, I'm in the outdoors, I'm with a great group of people. We're there to have fun together. We play as hard as we can for that period of time. I come out of there exhausted. I have thought of nothing but softball for that period of time. However, I'm rejuvenated, ready to go on to the next thing I want to do. So for me, it's really an energy boost.
Well, softball sounds like a great experience for you, and really all of our sports are kind of like that for us. So thank you for being here with us and sharing your experience.
Thanks, Justin. I'm honored to have represented the Geezers. I'm sure anybody on the team would have said the same thing I did.
For the remainder of our program, we invite you to take a brief look at 3 sports programs at the Cupertino Senior Center that help you stay involved and maintain a happy and healthy lifestyle. Golf, as you probably know, is a popular sport among the 50 and better community. The reasons for its popularity are many. Some love the leisure walking and exercise in nature. Some appreciate the peace of being out on the green and enjoying the morning fresh air. Some like the idea of playing at their own pace or joining and playing along with a group of friends. The skills, the strategy, and the fun competition are rewarding. Our golf members meet at Blackberry Farm Golf Course, just down the street from the Cupertino Senior Center on Monday mornings. Many members love to arrive early before teeing off, just to chat and socialize before they start playing. If you are thinking about playing golf, this is a welcoming and fun group.
Pickleball is one of the fastest growing and popular sports among America's 50 and better population. Some describe the sport as a hybrid of 3 other popular sports. It has rules similar to tennis, it's played on a court with the dimensions of badminton, and it uses a paddle similar to ping pong. What makes this sport appealing to our 50-plus population is the smaller court dimensions. The players are closer together, so there's less running distance than on a tennis court. It is fun, It can be co-ed. It is challenging and fast-paced, but still very accessible, and is a fun game for all levels of skill and experience. Because this is such a fast-growing and popular sport, it is offered at the Cupertino Sports Center just next door to our Cupertino Senior Center.
Almost everyone is familiar with the game of tennis. Perhaps you have played it at one time or another. What makes it especially nice for Cupertino Senior Center players is a few modified rules for 50+ and the welcoming atmosphere for all levels of players. Here you will have fun and get vigorous exercise. There is some friendly competition as well as many skilled players who patiently work with the new players. It is a wonderful mini community that has grown considerably within the last few years. The group meets at Memorial Park courts next door to the Senior Center. If you are looking to play tennis again or try it for the first time, this is a great way to begin.
We hope our program has inspired and motivated you to consider joining in one or more of the sports activities we have shown you. Please contact the Cupertino Senior Center or your local senior center about sports activities available in your area. You can also watch our programs on Roku and YouTube. Thank you for being with us.